Show yourself too.
Okay. 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 Ready?
Execution. Execution means your life is over. How would you feel knowing that you're sitting in a small little 5x10 cell with one little bed and your life's going to end? But here's the issue. You were wrongly convicted of the crime. Now you're about to die for something you didn't do. That doesn't make sense, does it? According to the Amnesty International, 4% of those who are sentenced to death are actually innocent. So how many people have we actually executed that were not the right person who did the crime? How would you feel knowing that happened to you? So my name is Jennifer Conaway, and today I'm going to explain to you why the death penalty is detrimental to society and how we can improve our society without the death penalty. First, I'm going to tell you why we need to abolish the death penalty. Then I will tell you about the benefits of what's going to happen if we didn't have the death penalty. And finally, we will delve into the issues of what the world would look like without the death penalty. So that brings me to my first point. Why do we need to get rid of it? First of all, taxpayers are paying more for the death penalty than they are for a regular trial. The Oregonians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty came up with a study that said that the Oregon Department of Administrative Services stated in a financial impact summary that in 2000, it was estimated that more than $9 million was spent per year for capital punishment. Another study showed that in Washington in 2015, death penalty cases cost more than $1 million compared to a regular trial. In California, they have spent more than $4 billion on trials pertaining to the death penalty since 1978. Executions are consistently botched. In 2014, Arizona took 2 hours to execute a convicted murderer known as Joseph Wood. And in the same year, Oklahoma went to execute this gentleman by the name of Clayton Lockett. However, it took over an hour, and he ended up dying from a heart attack rather than lethal injection. The pharmaceutical methods were chosen based on the fact that they are less grotesque than hanging in the electric chair, but to me, it shows that are these tactics really more effective? The mentally ill are executed more commonly than not. Amnesty International and the National Institute of Mental Illnesses stated that 1 out of 10 executions since 1977 have at least one person who's mentally ill. And in order for a person to be executed, they have to be mentally competent. So that means they are being medicated just so they can be executed. So now it brings me to the point of what solutions would come about if we remove the death penalty and how we can benefit from this. One of the takeaways is that we can redirect funding from these death penalty cases to go towards other services. For example, states can save millions of dollars per year. In California alone, by commuting death penalty cases to a life without parole, they can save over $170 million. What could we do with $170 million? If you think about it, those could go towards early education programs. We could be keeping our children away from high-risk environments that could involve them going into gangs, creating more violent crimes, and we could focus our tax dollars for community programs, for teens, for those who are mentally ill, and along with those who are addicted to drugs and alcohol. And with that being said, the suicide rate for officers who participate in executions would lower. These officers suffer from PTSD-like symptoms because their morals go against what they are doing. They are killing people. So that would definitely lower the rate. Also, the Bible has isolated passages to argue in support of the death penalty. However, most religions will tell you that execution is immoral. We are not to play God. So where does that make sense? So let's look at what life would be like without the death penalty. Early intervention reduces crime. The National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty found studies of programs of mental health services for juveniles in Texas, Utah, and Colorado created a lower probability of arrests. 1/2 of all prisoners that have mental health disorders are in the system. So if we can lower crime and lower homelessness to provide mental health care, then we're good to go. Services for addicts would mean less drug-motivated crimes. Abusers want a fix, so that's where murder and robbery comes in. And 1/2 of violent offenders were under the influence of drugs or alcohol. States can reduce violent crime, recidivism, and incarceration if they focus more on drug and alcohol and mental health programs. So today I've provided you information to support my stance on why we should abolish the death penalty. Today we've seen why we need to abolish it. We've also learned about the benefits of life without the death penalty, and I painted a picture for you of life without capital punishment. So I challenge you to write a letter to your state official about the money that we spend on the death penalty cases, and we can use it more effectively for other programs and services. Also, I want you to connect with your faith and see why the death penalty is immoral. So take the time to look into information on why the death penalty is cruel and unusual and also inhumane. And I want you to think about it. Are we really killing people who kill people to prove that killing people is wrong? That doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense to me. So why are we doing it? And honestly, we spend too much money on executions. We could use that money for somewhere else to benefit society in better ways than we are right now. Thank you.